What is happening, guys? Welcome back. So, first thing, apologies for no video last week. There's been loads going on and I just really didn't have the time and wasn't really in the headspace to be picking the camera up and really doing anything. But we are back, as you can see. We've got a few bits on the floor, and in this one, we are going to start bolting bits back onto the body shell. But let's just go around and show you what I did last week for the few hours I was actually here. First thing we got sorted then was the engine has now all been stripped down and painted. I think we had put one episode out of painting bits, but that is now all bolted back together. Me and Rich from Main Automotive did strip this down. We had the head off, we inspected all the internals. Everything looks okay, looking nice. The only thing we will say with the engine is it looks like it hasn't been serviced very well. But for what we're doing in here, and I haven't got the money to go completely rebuilding it, we've put it all back together. New head gasket, new head bolts, and a few other little bits and pieces on it. It'll do a job. We're not going to be hammering this around a racetrack, but the engine's looking nice. We've got a new ECS tuning, I think it is shallow sump on there. Obviously the new engine mount with all the different cam belt setup and everything instead of the hydraulic tensioner, the manual tensioner. On the front of the engine as well, showing you here, we've got Fast Buddy Metalworks, and this is the little block that changes the angle of the throttle body, because if we kept it on that angle without turning it, the pipe would want to hit the what would it want to hit? It would want to hit the radiator. So thank you very much to Fast Buddy Metalworks. He did send me that, so I'll put a link in the description to his website. It's got some other great stuff on there as well, which we'll more than likely be ordering too. Another thing we've done, look at that little sexy mama. Got the gearbox is all painted black, all the shift tower and everything's painted as well. I need to get a new starter motor, but that is all painted black, looking good. It's not bolted to the engine yet because I've had to order new flywheel bolts to go onto the crank, and I've also had to order bolts for the clutch to go onto the flywheel, but hopefully they'll be here at some point this week. Meaning, you never know, we may be able to get them mated together and get that in the car. Who knows? On here I've got a few other bits. I've got brackets for the intercooler, no, the radiator. Steering rack brackets. This is the cover for the radiator. But what we're going to be doing now, we're going to get all the front end stuff bolted on. And I think we're even going to sling the rear beam on. And we might even have a look at doing the rear disc conversion. So I'm going to put the GoPro on, put the radio on, hopefully cheer myself up with the radio because I've got the ump at the minute. And yeah, get some bits bolted onto that car. Right, I've not been in for a couple of days because waiting for parcels, waiting for things and deliveries just being a nightmare. But the gearbox is now attached to the engine. we've got this gearbox mount on. We've got to work out the rear mount, which is this one here, because some of the holes don't line up. We might have to drill to tap the gearbox. I'm not 100% sure. Front mount is on temporarily because we've not got a starter motor, but that's on to stop it flopping about, so we can then work the rear one out to then take that back off and do that properly. Rich has been looking through his nuts and bolt box to find some bits for the front steady. The car is there, so we'll drag the engine over, put the engine on the floor, we'll then lower the car over it, engine crane over the top, pick the engine up, hopefully get the engine in the car for the final time. Who knows, it'll probably end up coming out again. But yeah, let's get it over there and start throwing it in the car. What a step we have just done. Thank you to Rich for giving me a lift. He's now gone, but the engine is in the hole. Look at her in that hole. So, engine in its black finish is doing exactly what I wanted to and looking exactly how I wanted it to against the red. I think it looks absolutely awesome. We're going to be covering or using the engine cover just because I think it will clean the engine bay up and make it look a lot simpler. And it will look like there's a lot less in there. There's only got the engine and air filter. Pretty much that's all that's going to be in there. But I just want it to look as simple and clean as possible. Not happy with the paint finish on the inlet. Not happy with the paint finish on this radiator cover either. But I've just slung it all in just to make me feel like I've achieved something. Rad's in. Intercooler is also in. Throwing the headlights in as well, just to make me feel like we've achieved something. So, engine mounts. I've had a few questions on what I've done. All off the shelf stuff. Epytec on this one. I think this one in here is an Epytec as well, which is down there, which bolts to the block. Remove the hydraulic tensioner and put a manual tensioner on. Front mount, I'm not 100% sure whether this is what you're supposed to do or not. Original sort of front mount or whatever you're going to call it is in, and I've bolted it via the starter motor bolts down, nuts and bolts down there. Starter's obviously not in, so we're going to have another look at this and reassess what's going on there with that when we get started to make sure everything's long enough. Talk about the rear mount when we get under the car, because we had to do a bit of playing around with that to get it to work. Up top, we've thrown one loom in, the engine loom in, plugged the injectors, knock sensors, and a few other bits and pieces in. It's going to need tidying up, it's going to need cleaning and moving about, but that is in. The other loom is in the car down there, which is for MAF sensor and all the exhaust ones and everything, which we'll look at. I've not done anything with a wiring grommet down there yet, because we're probably going to split the loom, put it into one and try and get one wire, one bundle of cables coming out. But it's in. We've got to work out on the Mark 1 wiring batteries and things, because obviously the battery was here before and the washer and everything was all in the engine bay. That's all going in the boot now, so we've got to sort all the wiring out and move all of that, which and the headlights need sorting out, or cables need extending. I'm going to have to sit and read the manual, but it's in. Let's take it up and show you what's gone on underneath. So the rear engine mount, this is the original part that bolts to the chassis of the original Mark 1. This is a new rubber. This mount that you can just see there, this side mounts and bolts straightly into the gearbox. Now this is, I think, 0.2 CDA gearbox. So you've got 3 bolts there, that side. And then coming around this side, you've got 2 bolts here as well. Now, there's holes in the gearbox housing, but they're only about 5mm. So I had to drill those holes out to 6.8mm and then tap them with an M8 tap. And it's nice and solid and not going anywhere. So that's how we got around that issue. Bolts, not all the bolts are totally done up, but that's how we got around that. Lower arms are obviously all on. BC Racing coilovers. Oh, tripping over stuff. BC Racing coilovers are in, looking nice. Might have had a discussion about an air ride conversion kit for those, but we'll talk about that later. Again, on the back, rear beam is in, all mounted up. Fuel tank's also in because you have to put the tank in before you put the rear beam on. What have we done? So there's only rubber on one strap. I need to get the rubber for that one. I can't find it, but rubber will go on that. Bolt that up. Bolts and fixings. Now, at the minute, I've only bought an amount of new fixings, and I'm just using old ones to get stuff in and work out what I need. So then I can go off, place the order for what I need and not go ordering more than I need, because bolts are very, very expensive, especially black finish ones. Rear lights, slung them in just to make me feel a little bit better. So we've made some amazing progress in this one, although it's taken a long time for us to literally do a day's work. But those bits are in. I'm still waiting on other bits and pieces to be delivered. And I really need to sit down and get my head around this wiring. So if anyone's had anything to do with all the wiring on one, hit me up in the DMs, because I have to say that is the bit that is worrying me a little bit, because I'm not the best with electrics, but I'm sure we will get there in the end. So we should leave that on there then, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Join us in the next episode when we'll be doing something else to it. Who knows? So until next time, guys, enjoy.